Most people think that their face is something they're born with, and they can't really change it. But what if that isn't true? What if the way your face looks, your jawline, how wide it is, your cheekbones, basically everything about it is actually something you can control? We all get that if we go do some curls at the gym, our biceps grow. But what if I told you that your face actually works the same way? That you actually grow it yourself by using it properly? Because here's the thing, just as most of us aren't using our bodies correctly, as evidenced by the obesity epidemic, most of us aren't using our faces correctly either. And that's leading to a growing parallel epidemic of small jaws and weak jawlines. My name's Anish, and I've tried every form of jaw expansion there is in my long journey to restore correct structure and function to my own face. In this video, I'm going to show you 4 ways you can start to create a more attractive face for yourself. But first, we're going to do a bit of time traveling to understand how we ended up here. For the last 3 to 4 million years, humans had strong, wide jaws and perfectly straight teeth. We know this because very smart biological anthropologists have dug up ancient skulls to prove it. If you take any ancient skull from between 500 years ago to 5,000 years ago from any region of the world, you'll see perfectly straight teeth. Ancient humans never had their wisdom teeth removed. In fact, they had space behind their wisdom teeth. But if you look at skulls from the modern era, after the invention of industrialized food, you'll see that the mouth starts shrinking. But even now, there are some groups of people around the world that have never experienced crooked teeth. Take, for instance, the Kitavan Islanders, or the Australian Aboriginals, or the Maasai of Africa. In Europe, we see the same thing with isolated Swiss tribes. These groups of people are still living like our ancient ancestors, and they have all of their teeth, and they come in perfectly straight, with no braces or any form of orthodontics. But what happens when some of them move to a city nearby, into modern society? Well, it goes downhill for their mouths, and quickly. On the left, you'll see Aboriginal humans with straight teeth and wide jaws. On the right, you see the same people, but after moving to a modern industrialized city. Their teeth aren't looking too good. Crowded teeth, narrow jaws. And we see the same phenomena all around the world. American anthropologist Robert Corricini, who studied this phenomena and has 200 scientific papers on it, has found that within the first generation of switching to industrialized food, about 50% of the population is going to have malocclusion, crooked teeth. After that, about 70% in the next generation. And after that, 90%. The teeth aren't the problem, it's the jaws. Our jaws have grown so small that they can no longer accommodate all of our teeth. This rapid shrinking of our faces can't be explained by random mutations in our genes. And there's actually a big reason for these changes that's hiding in plain sight, and that's chewing, or the lack thereof. From the dawn of time to about 500 years ago, we used to chew for 4 hours a day. All hunter-gatherers and modern-day non-industrial people spend a good portion of their day chewing on tough and fibrous foods. Modern industrialized humans, on the other hand, we spend about 35 minutes a day chewing. As we farmed and processed foods to make them softer, we chewed less and less. We're not using our mouths nearly as much. It's a simple idea. If you don't use it, you lose it. Or in this case, if you don't use it, you never grow it. See, our jaws grow in response to the pressure exerted by our facial muscles, especially the masseters. This is particularly true in childhood. When we chew our food well and for enough time, the jawbones receive the necessary stimulus to grow. This study, published by authors Pinhasi et al. In the journal PLOS One, concludes that, quote, "Our analysis shows that the lower jaws of the world's earliest farmers in the Levant are not simply smaller versions of those of the predecessor hunter-gatherers, but that the lower jaw underwent a complex series of shape changes commensurate with the transition to agriculture." End quote. Here's another picture showing 3 generations of the same family. Grandfather, who was raised on a more traditional diet with tougher foods. Dad, slightly more processed food. And then his son, who grew up with very soft, easy to digest, soft foods. Here's an interesting picture of 2 Gaelic brothers. The one on the left has a broad arch and no visible cavities. The brother on the right, narrow face and several teeth missing. You can guess which one ate a traditional diet and which one switched to modern foods. So, lack of chewing is one reason our mouths are shrinking. The other big one? Poor tongue posture. Proper tongue posture actually starts in infancy. When a baby breastfeeds, their tongue naturally moves into the correct position, pushing against the roof of the mouth. And as skulls grow during childhood, they grow in the direction where the most force is exerted. If during your growing years your tongue naturally rested against the roof of your mouth, you exerted gentle but consistent pressure on the upper jaw. This helps to direct facial growth up and forward, and it leads to balanced facial features and a broader and more spacious upper jaw. On the other hand, if you hold your tongue on the bottom of your mouth or in between your teeth, gravity wins over as a stronger force and causes your entire facial skeleton to grow downward and backward. This downswung pattern also profoundly affects the size of your airway at the back of your throat. We'll cover that in a separate video. Here's a really powerful animation from Dr. Mike Mew's Orthotropic channel, visualizing the gradual downswinging of the face that happens with the introduction of modern food and lack of proper tongue posture. The tongue also exerts an outward force against the palate, which helps counteract the inward pressure of the cheek muscles and keeps the jaw growing wide instead of it caving into the cheeks. So with all the background out of the way, what can you do now if you've got a narrow jaw and crooked teeth? Well, here's 4 practices you can start right now to begin guiding your jaws forward and upward and to develop that strong jawline. Number 1, start mewing. Touch the tip of your tongue behind the front teeth, then start to press the rest of the tongue up against the roof of the mouth, making sure that the back third of the tongue is fully pressed against the roof of the mouth. Close your lips and swallow a few times until you create a suction hold with the tongue against the roof of the mouth. If you take nothing else from this video, just go all in on mewing, and you will, over a few years, start to see some real skeletal change. The older you are, the slower the remodeling, but it's never too late to start having good posture. It's also just a good idea for general health. Number 2, start chewing some mastic gum or introduce tougher whole foods into your diet, like steak, fibrous veggies, coconut meat. The act of chewing strengthens your jaw muscles and will stimulate jaw growth over time. Mastic gum is tougher than regular gum and is more natural. You could also try 3 gum from Pure. It's tough and, as the name suggests, has only 3 ingredients. If you have TMJ issues, go easy on massive chewing marathons and work more on mewing instead. Number 3, breathe only through your nose. Tape your mouth at night so that when you sleep, you encourage nasal breathing. If you can, tape it during the day as well. The more you naturally breathe through your nose, the more you keep your lips closed and the tongue in the right place against the roof of the mouth. It's a virtuous cycle between the two. And number 4, do daily myofunctional exercises. The idea behind these exercises is to strengthen the resting tone of the tongue and your facial muscles. This helped me a lot despite having a very narrow arch and not enough space for the tongue. I'll link a good video by Dr. Audrey Yoon in the description below. It's important to note that the potential for massive skeletal change does decrease as a person ages. By the time a person reaches their early 20s, their facial bones have mostly finished growing and fusing. That being said, adults still benefit from practicing proper tongue posture, chewing, nasal breathing, and facial exercises. These habits help maintain and improve muscle tone, which helps keep your airway open, helps proper oral function, and can potentially produce minor improvements in the facial structure over a larger period of time. More dramatic changes to the facial skeleton in adulthood are less likely and may require a surgical route, similar to what I've done with the ease. Even if the changes are glacial, you're setting yourself up on an upward trajectory in the long run, and restoring a natural posture that the body was meant to be in. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you watching. I'd love to make more of these long-form videos to help many more people connect the dots between their aesthetic and health issues and this epidemic of shrinking faces. So like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Cheers and keep mewing.